our guests. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm letting people in, so we are gonna wait just a few more seconds, please. Thank you for your patience. I think we are all here. I want to check very quickly if we are all here. I don't want anybody waiting in the waiting room. There you go. I think we are all here. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for attending this webinar. I will like to get started, of course, welcoming all of you and thanking you for taking the time to be here. We have an amazing speaker today. She's going to talk about an interesting topic, such as the mental well-being in the workplace. So, and heart health, sorry, in the workplace. So it's a very important topic for all of us, of course. But first, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Paola Manterola. I am your host for today. I am the Vice President of Staff Assembly Programs, and I work collaboratively with UCLA partners who provide resources and support to UCLA staff and faculty. Before we jump into the presentation, I'd like to mention important announcements. Today, I want to let you know that this webinar is being recorded because we use the recording to publish it in the Staff Assembly's YouTube channel and also in our website. So if you would like to watch this webinar again, you'll have it available there. Also, the Learn at Lunch, can you go back, please, to the first slide? So the Learn at Lunch webinars are being offered once or twice a month. So please check the Staff Assembly newsletter, our website, social media, follow us, and then you will learn what topics are coming up and check them out so you'll be updated and you will know what presentations are coming. Also, I will ask you to please share your questions in the Q&A box. We will have a Q&A section to respond all your questions if the time allows. Otherwise, you can reach out to us via email. I will share our email in the chat so you can get back to us if you have any questions. Next slide. All right. I'm going to take a minute. No, the prior, please. I'm just going to take a minute to talk to you about the Staff Assembly because some of you might be wondering what it is. We are an organization that was founded in 1978. We are an organization for staff by staff. And this organization is supported by the Chancellor and Campus Human Resources. So this organization is dedicated to promote the interest and welfare of all staff employees. So we have certain important roles here. We serve an advisory body to the Chancellor and University Administration on issues of concern to staff, also to foster staff engagements in support of UCLA mission through educational, social, and community programs. We help promote respect and cooperation among staff and other members of the UCLA community by providing a two-way communication system. It's important for you all to know that all UCLA employees are automatically members of the Staff Assembly. As you become as part of our staff, you are also part of our organization. So because of that, I'd like to cordially invite you to actively participate. There are multiple benefits, as you can see there in the slide. So I will recommend you to become an active member, and it's gonna be fun, and you're gonna join an amazing group of people. So also I will be sharing our email, so you can contact us if you are interested on being part on volunteering some of your time to work with us. All right. Okay, so with that being said, we're gonna now introduce our guest speaker. She is Juliet Martinez. That's her name. She's been working at the American Heart Association since 2001. And she is currently a vice president of community impact for the Los Angeles division. Juliet has a BA in American Studies from San Francisco State University and a master's in public administration from California State University, East Bay. So after introducing her, I would like to pass it on to you and start with our webinar, Juliet.
Thank you so much, Paula, for having me here. And, I wanted to, first of all, just say, what an honor it is to be among, the UCLA team. And so one of the things that was talking about earlier was, joining the staff assembly. And what we see in terms of research is the workforce that is engaged in groups such as the staff assembly tend to have more they tend to be happier, right? So their mind-body connection really is synced up because they're doing things through volunteerism, they're getting enrichment and team building with other folks from their community. So again, really wanted to encourage you to join staff assembly. So today I'm going to actually start with a few questions. So in the audience, because I would love to get to know all of you, could you type in your name and what department you work in and how long you've been at UCLA, just so I can get to gauge a little bit all of you. And one bonus question is, on average, true or false, it is recommended that you get 6 hours of sleep per night. True or false, it's recommended that you get an average of 6 to 8 hours, 6 hours of sleep per night. And so we'll be looking at everybody sharing their answers. So really, sleep optimally is going to be between 7 to 9 hours per night, according to research. And what we're looking at is between 10 and 11 is what research is showing is optimal bedtime. And I know some of you in the audience are probably thinking, oh my goodness, that's really not feasible. But right, like that you try to strive to 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Sometimes sleep is too little sleep affects cardiovascular health. Too much sleep affects cardiovascular health in a negative way. So again, just wanted to give the team some tidbits there. Thank you, Samantha, and for letting me know that the chat is disabled and but letting me know the answers. Thank you, and again, welcome to everybody. So if we could go to the next slide, please. So when we think about our mind-body connection, when we look at what are some of the things that are contributing to what causes, let's say like an unsyncing of the mind or our body, what are some of the things that we look at? So we see when you're stressed, right? Who here has been feeling stress, for example, throughout their, whether it's at work or at home? So again, right, sometimes you get stressed out. Sometimes when something, sometimes it's like you're anticipating something, sometimes good things, right? Like that, like during the holidays, a number of my friends got engaged and they were anticipating it. They got nervous, right? It was a good kind of sense of nerves, but it was still like a feeling. Sometimes there might be sometimes like when we were all, we all had schoolmates that got called to the principal's office, or all the anticipation of going to the principal's office, or kind of like a negative stress. Sometimes it's also going to a workout, and I love that show, Thinking About Your Next Meeting. I have many of those where I can totally relate to that, right? But what are some of the things that have also encouraged your mind heart body connection? So like in a positive way, like, so you think about like what are you looking forward to over the next couple of months that gets you really excited, that really makes your heart like happy? I mean, maybe it's awaiting a birth of a child, or maybe a relative is coming to visit. Maybe some of you are going to Disneyland. Maybe your team just won the Super Bowl, right? So, right, all kinds of excitement going on. So, thank you, Heidi, for sharing vacation. And Heidi, are you going somewhere fun? Laura, visiting family? That's amazing.
Yes, I'm RVing to Montana.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. So that sounds like an adventure, and would love to see those pictures. Um, Oh, Monster Jam, Samantha, that sounds amazing. And with your little one, oh my goodness, that's going to be an adventure. So really, right, when you think about all of these different connections that our mind, heart, and body have, right? If one is off, often you'll see the changes happening, right? So like if when you're stressed out, for example, and right then you can't sleep, then that affects your cardiovascular health, right? Because you haven't had time to rest and recharge. And then also, right, with the mental well-being, sometimes if we don't get enough sleep, we might not be our best selves, and so how we engage with others and with ourselves, right, might be different than we would like to. Next slide, please. So when you think about what has happened today, is there anything that really stands out that you just want to take a moment for gratitude today, right? Today's also Valentine's Day. Maybe there's a memory that you really stands out in your mind, or maybe something that happened today, but is there something that you are thankful for today that you would like to share in the chat? For me, I'm grateful that my mother, who had a stroke in 2018, is still with me. And I am grateful that, technology and research, so that's being done at UCLA and other organizations has helped move technology and science in tandem so that she has optimal chances for, you know, being her best self. So, so again, if there's a moment that you think about, really, for family, for being healthy and having a job, right? Some of these things, thank you. That's really a great synopsis, right? Ooh, Tiffany said a staff member made banana chocolate chips. Samantha, 10 years of Valentine's with your husband. I love that. So really, right, you all have moments every day. And when you're feeling stressors coming on, right, during the day, you might be getting ready for lecture, teaching a class. You might be, in administration, or you're trying to, manage a budget. um, Stop and pause and give yourself a moment of gratitude, right, just for being yourself, right? That's a great thing. Celebrate you, and just take 30 seconds and remove that. So when you feel that stress coming, or when you feel your heart racing, or you're just feeling sometimes, right, the manifestation of stress where you might get anxious, or you might like fidgeting, right, because it's just you're internalizing all this energy that you have to get out. Sometimes having that moment of just gratitude and reflection for yourself helps you reset. Next slide, please. And so what we've seen as when we have moments of gratitude and just reflections, right? Because it's almost like a pause and stop, just to take yourself out of the space you're currently in that's causing the stress. But when you have these moments, it is shown to reduce depression, anxiety, and improve sleep. One of the things that we know from research is when people have a lot of anxiety and stress, right? And I'm sure along the way most people have experiences like you're going to bed, your mind is racing because you might have a big meeting tomorrow, and it's like one of those meetings where you got to have all the check boxes ready, or you might be going through like some sort of department audit, and it's looking at like, oh my gosh, I have all these things and your mind is racing. So that inhibits you from really getting that restful night of sleep because your mind is still going. So part of what recommendations include is writing it down. Like keep a notepad by your bed, keep a notepad maybe in your car. And when you're having these feelings of like your mind is racing and is starting to have that physical manifestation, that you literally, the sensation of writing it down Some people prefer tablet, but literally the sensation of writing it down helps a lot of people release that anxiety and stress, and then you can see it, right? And once you say, okay, I need to call my mom tomorrow to make sure that she took her medicine, or I need to call um my colleague and remind them that we have to, look at papers tomorrow, and that you literally have it and you physically check it off. That's for a lot of people, research shows that is a release of like the stress. It's like when you might be waiting for a test result, like, do I have a cavity and am I going to have to get, some sort of dental work done? For a lot of people, that's anxiety. And then the x-ray comes back and says, no, you're fine. We could just put like a little bond on it, right? The sigh of relief that comes with not having your teeth drilled for a lot of people, that really is that sensation of releasing it. And at work, sometimes, right, having those notepads and starting as you wind down your day. And again, for a lot of folks, right, work can be at home, it can be in the office, it's a hybrid, but having the notepad like with you as you start to wind down, really start trying to give yourself a schedule where you can have a 4-hour wind down from leaving work, and whether you work at home or you work in the office, that for a lot of folks, what they've shared is the act of leaving the office gives them like, okay, I'm a boundary, right? I've closed the door on my work day. But those that might be working remotely, and there's no boundaries. Like my office is in my bedroom, or my office is in my kitchen, and now I'm going to go to dinner. So sometimes what behavioral health coaches have recommended. It's like you literally take your laptop, physically put it into another part of the house, or if you have like a cover, they literally put like a towel on it and cover it. So then that way you have given your sensory, like you've shut it down and you've shut it down for the night. And that way you start to work towards now moving into your personal time, and then you start your routine for whatever your personal time looks like. But always going back throughout the day and giving yourselves those pauses for gratitude. So that way, again, it's almost like giving yourself the permission to breathe and just be, and appreciate all the great gifts and talents that you have, and that you allow others in your life to bring to you as well. So if we could go to the next slide, please. And are there any questions so far? Okay. So when we look at if we could go back to thank you. So really, again, talking about what we looked at is the mind, the heart, and the body are all connected. And so really good things, cause us to have endorphins. Like when we get good news, like you won the lotto and now you got this great news, right? So that's really exciting. And it's right. But you feel like your heart racing, right? Because it's like amazing news. Like, I can't believe it. And sometimes we get not so good news, like maybe a loved one is being diagnosed with something, right? So it's negative and it causes that stress, right? Because that weighs on your mind and on your heart and then your body, right? Because a lot of times when folks are getting depressed, their tendencies that in terms of like how we see like people might eat less, people might eat more, they might be sleeping a lot more because it's just like they're on overload. There's also looking at things around maybe not getting out and socializing, right? Because socializing in whatever form to you, you know whether it's through your friends, whether it's through going to a faith-based organization, maybe it's participating in sports, that there's less social interaction, and really that then affects your heart and your brain, right? Because all of it's all interconnected. So if you could go to the next slide, please. So really, as we've been talking about, depression can go to, less exercise and diet. Is there anybody in the audience that when you're feeling anxiety or, might, not being in the optimal um, mind body heart connection, like that you tend to maybe gravitate towards something that might not be as heart healthy as you normally like? Does anybody in that? Yeah, Tiffany, ice cream. Ice cream is a great consoler. Yeah, Heidi, food, and like sometimes I've had friends that have chocolate, yes. Yes, chocolate. Ice cream. I think ice cream is going to be the big winner, right? So sometimes it goes where I have friends and myself, right, where we try to practice, the carrots and the grapes. Yes, Samantha, exactly. Normally we're striving to have healthier foods, but when we're just, have anxiety, we're on the go and we just need quick satisfaction. It's McDonald's is one. Girl Scout cookies, yes. Oh my god. So right, all of these things that we just gravitate towards, right? Because it's comforting. Most cultures, most communities, right? Food is a main staple. And so right, so we go back to, our comfort, which for a lot of folks is food. And also, not finding, because you're not able to exercise, right? These two then can lead to even less exercise, and which helps, contribute between the diet and the exercise, which can lead to heart disease because if too much salt, too much sugar, and not enough exercise can lead to high blood pressure or hypertension. Also, enough exercise, right? Your joints get, it gets harder to walk because, like, I know I have to get back help in a healthier routine. So then that way, right? Because I'm carrying more weight than I should be. It affects my knees, and over time, right? Then as you go, if you develop heart disease, then heart disease can also raise the amount of depression. So sometimes a lot of times when folks have a cardiovascular incident like a stroke or a heart attack, um, or are diagnosed with heart failure, that they see an increase in depression, right? Because that's a big statement. Folks that have diabetes, the same thing, right? Chronic disease, because it's like all of a sudden how you live, not only physically, but what you consume and like your mental well-being, right? And your heart, all of these things are manifesting. So it's like, do I have the time to, to take my blood pressure X number of days? Like, how do I fit in all of these new things to take care of myself? So, right. So it's like this kind of scale where you bounce between the two. Next slide, please. But on the other side of that, right, when you're able to put in exercise, you get the endorphins from the exercising and healthy foods, right? Like when your body has more water, it's more hydrated. You get more energy when you're putting in, like a lot fruits and vegetables, at least 4 ounces or 4 servings of fruits and vegetables per day, unless your doctor has told you otherwise. But really, looking at how you can incorporate this gets your energy. Then when you have more energy, when you are feeling healthier, um, it helps you to not have the stress so much, right? You're kind of reducing the triggers because you have an outlet. A lot of folks say that they go to the gym, or they have a pet and they get together and they walk their dog. Um, some people like to do housework. Like I like to clean because I get the two-in-one benefit of my kitchen being clean, and I burned out 30 minutes of exercise by cleaning and mopping and going through the whole routine. And of course, right. So the happier um, and the more connected you are, this also leads to good sleep. And also for those, individuals that are smoking, we see that there's less smoking happening or not smoking at all. And then, right, this reduces the effect of potentially having heart disease, or if you have it, of it increasing. So, so can anybody share how they like to, like, exercise or like food, like when you're feeling it, like you're having a bad day or you're having a bad streak, how you bounce back up? Swimming. Rose, that is great. Swimming because it's light on the body. Yoga, meditate. Yeah. Again, hiking, walking my dog. Yeah. And Tiffany, your little fur baby gets the benefit as well. Is Samantha walking with your family in the park? And two, right, you get time to catch up as a family. You kind of get all that interconnectivity and are able to, right, to have that sense of community. So car rides. Yeah, so they're awesome as well. So you also build that car ride to get your healthy food as opposed to the McDonald's. So good call on that. If you could go to the next slide, please. So what we see is when you have interconnectivity between your mental well-being, your body, and your heart, we see that people that are of a positive mindset may have a lower risk of heart disease, stroke, or death. That the people that get, through, the 7 to 9 hours of sleep have less depression and anxiety. And again, right, that we also want to try to use the power of positivity to help try to also address, trying to get stress under control. So that way you're not increasing your amount of CVD. And also, one stat here that we see is 80% of doctor visits are for conditions related to stress. And so how can we look at addressing that? So again, building back to a moment of gratitude, being able to find times if we have stress, right? If we start with the moment of gratitude, then we make a commitment. Okay, I'm going to go out and I'll go walk, later this afternoon. I'll walk out my stress, or maybe just get something. So I'm moving up and down in my seat, every couple of minutes, and I'm just up and stretching, or maybe I'm just walking in place in my station. That way, you're literally physically working out the stress. And then maybe it's, calling a friend, or, on your break, on going to chat and say, hey, are looking forward, you're part of the staff assembly, and now you're going to be going to the meeting, right? So you're going to be able to talk about, hey, I just joined this group, and, would love to learn from others how you're helping address stress in the workplace. So if you go to the next slide, please. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how the connection works. So next slide, please. So I think, is there anybody that hasn't heard of fight or flight, or can you show me by thumbs up? Has everybody heard of fight or flight response? Okay, so one of the things that happens is, when we think about like I have a cat, and my cat, when he gets scared, like he has associated the cat carrier, with going to the vet. So he knows when he's going to the vet, he's probably going to get shot. So what happens, it becomes this whole ordeal where he will run, like I bring the carrier out, and he will run like around the house, and he'll hide and get into places where I can't get him. And then I have to bring the carrier over, and I have to pull him out. And he is like, I don't cut his claw. So he is like clawing, like he's clawing for his life. He claws, he scratches. One time he put his claws into my shoulders and jumped off, and I pull him into the crate. And that is fight or flight, right? That his response was very animalistic, which is, you're taking me to the vet, and I'm going to get a shot. And he has, right, that in his mindset, and usually it's the truth. So as humans, right, we have that same thing. When stress or something negative is happening, we have that fight or flight response, right? And so what happens then is, when we have that, then it's that the cortisol and the adrenaline that causes our heart to race, right? So a lot of times people say, my heart is racing. And when people get negative news, right, you see the heart racing. Sometimes they get sweat. And over time, right, when this continues to be a manifestation of chronic stress, what happens is your body is holding all of this in. Your heart is, your blood pressure is constantly being raised, right, because it's pushing harder the heart. And then, because you're always in a state of alert, your immune system also, right, is trying to fight things off the stress and all the other things happening. So your immune system gets lowered, because your body is basically in a panic mode. So for those of you that have kids or grandkids, or you're like, okay, for those of you today that might be celebrating Valentine's Day, and maybe have forgotten that it was Valentine's Day, that when you get home. So here's a reminder. But if you have forgotten this morning, and somebody in your life is expecting something and you forgot, that's a fight or flight. Oh shoot, I forgot that. Or like the kids, right? When they forget something, or they do something that they know, like you say no cookies, before lunch, and they take the cookie, and then you literally catch them with right. We all remember like something that we've done when we were children that caused us to want to go just run and go hide or go into the fight response, which is like, for me, it was like break down and cry. Try to cry my way out of it, which didn't always work. But right, so again, all of that chronic stress does cause your heart and your blood pressure to go up, which then increases your risk for heart attack and or stroke and or long-term other chronic diseases. So if we go to the next slide, please. So could we go back one? Sorry. And so just one more thing that I wanted to talk about on this side was cortisol and adrenaline also have positive benefits, right? So like we talked about earlier, sometimes when you get a surprise, your heart also races, right? It's like folks have shared like when they've had their first child or when they adopted their they went to an adoption center for their pet, and it's like that anticipation of seeing, or they're like people that are going on vacation, getting to the end of the road, right? It's like that anticipation that also causes people to have that positive heart racing. But again, right, it goes away because it's a moment, as opposed to when it's stress. Sometimes that stress is chronic, right, and it stays on you because you're still working through the issue. Next slide, please. And so really, again, looking at the mindset, we look at exercising more, eating healthier, sleeping better, and not smoking. But also then really that when you're in the mindset, right, it also helps with the behaviors around being able to take care of yourself and do more of the things that you like to love, and also take care of yourself, right? So like your cholesterol numbers are normal, that your blood pressure is less than 120 over 80, that your A1C readings are less than 5.4. All of these things that also internally that we can't measure, right? Things around sometimes stress causes other things like cancer is also related to stress. So all of these things, right, that physically that manifests in our body, that stress helps promote other avenues. Like sometimes it's like an indirect behavior where, like we were talking earlier about the diet, right? So like if you are like say drinking a lot of sugar and not getting as much exercise, that's going to also help. Like if you have fibroids, it feeds the fibroids so that they grow bigger. So right, so all of these things, like even though like the stress because I'm drinking the soda, now I'm putting more sugar into my body and that's feeding, I might have a small fibroid, but over time, right, it could potentially grow. So, and right, also ulcers, right, can also get triggered by stress. So next slide, please. And so, really, when you are, trying to move forward in the positive mindset, we know that with cardiovascular disease, the more you can have a good heart, body, mind connection, that it continues to keep cardiovascular disease lowered, right? Because again, you're looking forward, or you're trying to move forward with a solution, or you're just trying to keep forward, like even though there might be a challenge now, I know that I can do X, Y, and Z to move it forward. So from the team here, can anybody share how you've been able to promote optimal heart mind body connection in your work in the workday? And feel free to come off the mute as well if you like, however you're able to. Um, so Cheryl said she walks to get coffee with a coworker, which is great. Anybody else? How do you share? Okay, so again, right, some really good ideas here, and if you get a chance, just to go like visit a coworker or a friend, you could literally walk over to the office, to their office, like Cheryl's doing. You could go to Staff Assembly to visit Paula to sign up. You could even if you're maybe during a team meeting or a 101, you could just like do like chair yoga, right? So there are different ways that you can help increase it. So we go to the next slide, please. Okay, so let's just pause and let's just take a moment, and I'm going to ask everybody right now if you guys, or if everybody in the audience would just maybe take, thank you, Wellness Wednesdays. Just take a few moments and just kind of like put your arms together like this and just press them together and just hold it for a couple of seconds. And then I want you to reach up as high as you can and stretch your shoulders like as much as you can that's comfortable without hurting yourself, and roll your shoulders up to your ears, and then lower them, and then lower your hands to the side of your legs, so like they're literally straight down. And then just go back and then bring your arms back up here again to the middle. Again, right, like so. And then just lift up again. And stretch, and again, roll your shoulders up to your ears. And then just lower your hands to your side and relax your shoulders. And we're going to do this one more time. We're going to bring our hands together. And we're going to reach up. We're going to roll our shoulders up to our ears. And then we're just going to gently lower our arms. So that's a quick way where we took literally 15 seconds to just let a little bit of stress out. Did that help anybody? Just kind of help relax a little bit? And if not, that's okay too. I just, would love to know if some of these like quick little techniques that we can integrate, right? It took like 10, 15 seconds, but a way just to kind of settle and be with yourself. Okay, thank you for those that shared. That it is working. And if it didn't, that's okay too, because sometimes I try things and then people, when I'm in an audience, I'm like, oh, I wanted that to work, but it just didn't quite work for me. And that is a-okay, because there's always many more to try. I had a coworker who used to keep, I think when we were little, they used to be like those little bounce back things where you could like push it, like it was like a little clown, and you could push the clown and it would bounce back. It was like a little balloon kind of thing that had sand in it, and she would push it and it would bounce back. And so that's how she would just like bat at it to work her stress out, and that worked for her. Okay, so let's go to the next slide, please. So, really being happy, right? It's an emotion, but really about the mental well-being. It's also, right, the interconnectivity, right? It's about it's a mindset shift, right? It's about developing habits, making lifestyle changes, and they're hard. For anybody that says making a lifestyle change is easy, I applaud them, because I think for most people, making lifestyle changes are hard, right? Some of them are easier than others, right? It depends on individual. Like some folks, it's really easy to say, okay, I'm gonna reduce the amount of caffeine that I'm drinking, and I'm gonna switch in water. For some people might be like, okay, you know what, I'm doing everything else, but that's my one, my one vice. Or some folks might be like, you know what, I want to exercise more, but my schedule, it's hard for me to get that in, right? So, so again, small changes, incremental changes. Really, when you go through the mind, body, heart model, it really is not a one-time thing. Like we were talking earlier, it's like you're anticipating going on a vacation, and it's like I get the endorphin of arriving there, but it really is trying to move through these moments and actually making, again, a lifestyle change that incorporates the mind as well. And sometimes, right, over the course of time, if you've tried, multiple avenues, please, seek help from a medical professional, whether it's a doctor or a therapist, and or both, right? There are folks here that are invested in your well-being, and so being able to take advantage of those resources. And Paula, is there any resources from Staff Assembly or from UCLA through HR that you'd also like to recommend around support from for mental well-being?
Yes, we do have some resources available that we can share with the audience if you are interested via email. So I'm going to put the email in the chat. So yeah, you can reach out to us. We can share some resources. Also, our Learn at Lunch webinars like this one, we usually offer very interesting topics like this in order, to take care of ourselves for the well-being of the staff and faculty.
Thank you. And so if we go to the next slide, please. So when we think about mental, well-being, the body connection and the heart connection, part of it is where you live determines 80% of your health, right? So this is when we think about health equity, right? And how do the social determinants of health affect not only ourselves, but the communities that we're a part of? Um, a lot of times getting to the doctor is just one part of it, but everything else, right, that goes all on around it. So sometimes my husband is a proud UCLA Bruin. Um, when he went to UCLA though, his his family could not afford, they had 3 kids in college. And so for him, he didn't have access to, he could not, he's paying tuition, he was working on campus, and he just didn't have enough money left over to eat healthier food options. So that was something that he shared when he was early in his college career, that he was um, attending university, was, just trying to find healthy options outside of campus. And a lot of times he resorted to fast food. So, right. So sometimes, right, that's part of it. It's like all of these environmental factors, like having access to healthy food, which, of course, UCLA offers healthy, nutritious food in the cafeteria, which is awesome. Taking advantage of that. You know, do we have housing? Do people have health care, right? And all of these things that also contribute to heart health. Um, really make it something that we want to consider for ourselves, right? Like, so part of that is your heart health, but then also, where you live, connected to community, economic, social stability, all of these things, right? Access to healthcare play into one's heart health and, mind, body, and heart. Next slide, please. Um, and unfortunately, what we see is when we look at health from the lens of health equity, there's also, certain, um, certain and within certain demographics that we're also seeing the impact, right? Negative impact of stress. LGBTQ individuals are at increased risk of mental health conditions due to stigma, right? A lot of times, members from the LGBTQ plus community have shared that, when they're trying to find their journey of how to share how they identify with their network, with their friends and family, that sometimes, they're they're sharing their who they are, and sometimes their families or friends don't accept them for who they are, right? And that causes many so many things that come out of that in a negative way, right? I have a friend who was sharing about her journey, and that her mother was not willing to accept her for how she was. And so that caused her to get depressed. Fortunately, my friend recognized, for her that she was dealing in depression, and that she got sought help with a therapist, and that helped her, work to an outcome where she was able to be okay again, like her words that she was okay, and move forward with a mindset. And she is an amazing person, as she has a community around her, her friends and family, and she's working to rebuild that relationship with her mom. But that really caused, a lot of issues for her. And as part of that, she was smoking more. So she also made the commitment, after getting help with the cognitive, also for the cognitive therapy, with the smoking, as well as with the stuff she was dealing with her mother, she was able to quit smoking. But that took like 4 years of work for her. We also see that diverse populations such as Latino, Hispanic, African American, and Black, Native American, um, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander community members are also suffering from increased hypertension, diabetes due to chronic stress. And then, unfortunately, you know, we 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 still hear about racism, right, playing a role in unhealthy behaviors, such as smoking, substance abuse, poor nutrition, and not seeking medical care. And and unfortunately, in like in LA, right, there are pockets where I identify as Hispanic, where my community is being targeted. There's around smoking and drinking, and there's no fast food. I mean, there's only fast food outlets, right? So that we continue to stay on that trajectory of negative lifestyle, and right, that also affects our minds as well. Next slide, please. And so in terms of like what the American Heart Association is looking to do is, we have been partnering to look at investing $1 million in science-based solutions to addressing racial and structural racism. We've been working with launching blood pressure initiatives with HHS, as part of increasing workforce health equity in the workforce. Again, this is a great example of being able to come talk to all of you about what we're seeing, and also getting your insights on how this is affecting your workforce. And then we're also trying to address the social determinants of health and help work in communities or the diverse populations in helping increase the social economic access to things, right, through the lens of health equity. So breaking down the social determinants of health so that we can have health equity for all. And with UCLA Health, for example, we recently, this past like 2 weeks ago, we're working with UCLA Health with the team over there in Inglewood activities, and basically we're able to have a wellness fair at the event where the UCLA Health truck came out, provided screenings for the community members in Inglewood. They also were able to install some gym equipment at the park, and that way, and something like 29 vendors came out and were providing different health services, and the American Heart was out there also providing services and pulling this together with this great group. So again, right, the investment and the work, and volunteers came out. So UCLA volunteers came out and helped, all of these community members learn about all of chronic risk factors. So again, right, so part of the work that you're doing here as staff for taking care of yourself, but also, right, part of mental well-being is that gratitude, right? It's like the gift of your time as you go out to events like this, where you can also see like how you as an individual are also making a difference in the community. And so, so thank you, for your help on that. But just also want to share like how mind-body connection is also through gratitude, but also through volunteering through the workplace. So thank you for your support on that. And if we could go to the next slide, please. So if we go to the next slide. So in terms of what you can do now, looking at exercise, really, again, right, it's recommended, the HA recommends 150 minutes of moderate exercise, right? So that's walking, that is swimming, that might be doing like moderate housework, carrying things around. But ideally, if you can, try to schedule 10 minutes, maybe 10 minutes during the work, 10 minutes for 3 times a day during the work day, right? So you get up, you get a mental break, you go out and you walk around, maybe go visit another department. Maybe it's going, to walk and meet a friend across campus. But try to schedule that and keep that in your calendar, so that way you make that commitment to yourself. And then we also recommend 2 days of strength training, so that you could get like those resistant rubber bands. You could, use water, like water bottles, and you could lift like that if you're at your desk, but try to, get up and try to move as best as you can. Next slide, please. Trying to incorporate healthy food as much as you can into your diet. Maybe a few of you get together and say, okay, you know what? Every on Wellness Wednesdays, we're going to walk and we're going to meet together, and we're going to have a picnic. And right, we're going to make now that the weather's getting better. that everybody's gonna bring something and we'll build a salad, right? So everybody could, build it, and it's basically like a little community salad. You get the sense of walking out, you build something healthy together, and you get the sense of community. The good news there for the chocolate lovers, dark chocolate may improve mood and reduce tension. So everything in moderation, right? So for those of you that love your chocolate, a little square, especially today, right? Your little chocolate hearts are a boost up. And again, right, making sure that we're trying to look at incorporating fish and omega-3 fatty acids, looking at how we can reduce may also play a role in reducing depression. But again, trying to get it says that research showed of happiness from 8 portions of fruits and veggies a day was equal to the joy of finding a job. So that's amazing to know that. So I'm going to put that into practice as well. So if we go to the next slide, please. Sleep on it. Great question, Rosa. So when we talk about moderation, it would depend on the size, but if there's a certain brand that makes those little chocolate hearts that are like maybe that big, and I like 2 of those, that would be moderation for most people. Sleep, right? So sleep is important because sleep basically recharges your body. It helps increase your mood. Like when you get more sleep, for most people, they wake up, in a refreshed state of mind. It improves your alertness. It makes you more productive and creative, and it really helps your body really literally repair itself overnight. Next slide, please. So again, right, when we look at the mind-body connection, they're all interconnected and rely on each other, right? So when one is out of sync, usually the other 2 are going to be, or shortly there will be after. Well-being really is creating a mindset, not just, 1 or 2, two moments, fleeting moments, right? And well-being is really about the whole person, right? Trying to do their best to live a healthy lifestyle, in their mind, their body, and their heart, in a positive mindset. And really going back and taking back for those moments of gratitude and reflection for yourself. Because right, everything good that happens, everything you all deserve great, amazing things to happen for you and to you because of who you are, of the person that you are, right? So remember that. Take a moment of just remember and celebrate yourself in those moments of gratitude. And small changes, 1 at a time, do make a difference. So like right now, if you're not exercising at all, ask somebody on the call to ask, to hold you to say, I'm going to exercise I'm going to walk 5 minutes today for the next 2 weeks. Small change. If you're drinking a lot of soda, say, okay, if I'm drinking 5 sodas a day, I'm going to try to maybe cut down to 4.5 over the next 2 weeks and drink half a glass of water. So, right, it's small changes, but over time, small changes become the habits that become the norm, which is the part of it becomes second nature, like breathing. Next slide, please. So again, right here are ways that you can get started that we just talked about. And so, again, we'll provide this deck too. So maybe you just keep this, if you've accomplished something and you want to move to the next item, you could pick something like moving your body or maybe volunteering for something. And then next slide, please. So just wanted to see if there are any questions. I know we're up at time, but just wanted to see if there was anything that I could answer. Okay, if not, Paul, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Juliet, for this amazing webinar. It's very impressive, the great information that you have provided to us. Thank you so much for all the tips and recommendations that you have shared. We really appreciate it because it happens to all of us, right? Sometimes it's just hard to keep up with all the things that we must deal in a daily basis. So Thank you so much. And I also want to thank you, our audience today. Thank you so much for joining us today. And before we go, I'll just remind you that I have shared our email, the staff assembly email, in the chat box a couple times. So if you would like to reach out to us, please do it. If you have any questions about how to join the staff assembly. And also, I like to share one more thing. I also share some resources in the chat. But now I'm going to share this the website. Why? Because I want to let you know that you can find important information here about the Staff Assembly's awards and scholarships for staff. So take a look at it. And of course, any donations are also very welcome for us, because these awards are very special, and the scholarships as well to our staff and faculty. Also, again, I would like to invite you to stay connected with us, with the Staff Assembly via social media. You can find us through in our LinkedIn account or in our main website, Facebook or Twitter X, where you will find a lot of information about us, and that is also information that is good for you. If you want to volunteer and sign up, please, here is the yellow QR code highlighted, so you can join us and volunteer. We will really appreciate your support and also your collaboration. And again, as I said before, you're going to join an amazing team. Thanks again. And I hope everyone who attend this Learn at Lunch is, happy to have joined and enjoy this useful information. Stay in touch, volunteer. Thank you so much. I'll let you go. Have a great rest of the day.